Okay, this is a demanding one. And why am I posting it? Well, I'm posting this one in particular because it really emphasizes that if you're well practiced in your algebra skills and forming equations, you can get this. So it's worth 7 marks, which when you look at that, you might go, oh, bloody hell, this is going to be difficult. And it's not easy because it's a bit of an unusual question, but I'd like you to be trained in this kind of question. Now, what we know is that the areas are different. But what we do know is that there's a relationship between these two different heights that are given. It tells us that h minus h equals 1. Now that's not so important right now. What we're going to do is we're looking at areas. And what we could say about our first rectangle on the left is that h, let me change my pen, h brackets y minus 2 is going to give us 15 square centimetres. And the other one then, what we can say is that h times y is equal to 20 square centimetres. What we need to do though is actually make sure that we only have the one unknown on each side, and that's where this thing comes in. So we're working with two different h's, but we know the relationship between them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how can I write this in terms of my small h. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to rearrange this. So h, big H, is equal to 1 plus h. So let's rewrite that over here. No, I'll rewrite it as a new line actually. So 1 plus h brackets y minus 2 equals 15. Now again, I see that this is going to give me a quadratic, but I'm going to have two unknowns and I can't solve that. So what this does is this gives us a way of substituting this h for a y. We could do it the other way and substitute the y for h. But the thing is, the question is actually asking for a value of y. That other way will work, but it's a much longer way of doing it. You'll be an extra 2 steps in that minimum. What I'm not going to say then is, okay, fine. So 20 over h is going to give me my y. That's fine. But if I substitute this into here, I'm going to have h on both sides, and I want to have y on y on that side. So I can then say, all right, fine, so 20 over y is equal to h. So what I can now do is I can put this in place of this here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm now going to rewrite it again. So 1 plus 20 over y, close brackets, open brackets again, y minus 2 equals 15. Now, again, this does look weird, but it follows all the rules that we've had when we expand brackets. Both of these terms will distribute, as we say, into both of those terms. So, okay, let's do these one by one. So 1 times y, fine, that's going to give me 1. 1 times negative 2, negative 2. 20 over y, well, that's going to give me just 20. Sorry, 20 over y multiplied by y is going to give me 20. And then multiply my fraction here again by minus 2. So what we're going to get is negative 40 over y, and then that equals to 15. So we've taken a few bites of this, but then we've got to think, right, what are we going to do now? So the thing is, we want this to be a quadratic because it does tell us in the question by forming a quadratic equation. So that's giving us clues on what to do. This isn't a quadratic, but we can make it into that. I'm going to give you a quick moment to think about how we can do that. I'm just going to rewrite it to give you time to think. Y minus 2 plus 20 minus 40 over y is equal to 15. So what are we going to do? What I'm going to do, this fraction in particular is annoying me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by y. So what am I there going to get? So I'm going to get y squared minus 2y plus 20y. Could have tidied that up before, but sure. Minus 40 is equal to 15y. All right, I'm getting there. Let's tidy this up because it's a bit of a mess. So y squared minus 18y, sorry, minus 18y plus 18y, plus 18y minus 40 equals 15y. Now, if we want to solve a quadratic by factorizing, we need to set it to be equal to 0. So let's do that. Y squared. Okay, we subtract the 15y from both sides. That's plus 3y minus 40 equals 0. And then we're going to factorize. Some of you may be very confident in factorizing already, but I'm going to do the full method here. Anyway, y squared plus 3y minus 40 equals 0. And what I'm looking for is two numbers which will multiply to give me negative 40 and will add to get me 3. So multiply negative 40, and then add to give me 3. Bearing in mind that one of them must be negative. Okay, so let's just think about the numbers which multiply to make 40. Well, there's 1 and 40, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to work. Neither of those are going to be negative. If one of them's negative, I'll get 39. And if the other's negative, I'll get negative 39. 2 and 20. Still not going to sum to give me 3. There's too much distance in between them. There is 4 and 10. Get a bit closer because the difference between them is 6. And then there is 5 and 8. If one of those is negative, if 5 is negative, they will add to give me 3. So there we go. We've got the numbers which are going to go into our brackets. So what we should have now is rewrite that factorized form. Y minus 5 and y plus 8 equals 0. Finally, we have to decide what our solution is. What is the value of y? Now, when we do this, what we're effectively doing, when we've done this thing here, we're basically saying that y minus 5 equals 0 or y plus 8 equals 0. That being the case, in this first instance, y is equal to 5, and the second instance, y is equal to negative 8. And we cannot have negative distances, so the solution is this, y equals 5. That's it. So in this one, the lesson I want you to take from this is going at it step by step, having patience, and practicing your algebra skills will really, really help. I think any GCSE student who wants to push towards like above a grade C should be practicing these kinds of questions because they really test your ability to do algebra. Practice this loads, and the effects I think are going to give improvement to everything you do. Anyway, that's it.